What's up guys, LJSS here, also known as Schneider, and today I'm going to be going over the 5 biggest fundamentals you need to know if you want to become a good Omega Strikers players. Now this is a bit less of a tips and tricks video to just get a quick advantage and more of what are things that you need to know and I use on a every single game basis to start improving on if you want to become very good at the game. Now, a quick little bit about me is I'm the current rank 1 player on our global, and also a quick shout out before we get into it is I'm streaming every single night on twitch.tv. The link will be below, and if you want to check out more content, make sure to catch me there. But with that being said, let's jump quickly into the video. So for our number 1, we have playing for XP. Now, XP is everything in Omega Strikers. This is important because getting levels gives you more health, it gives you more power, it lowers your cooldowns, and it also makes you faster. So it's pretty obvious to see why it's so important. And we get XP passively over time from hitting the core, getting orbs, making saves, knocking people out, scoring, and assisting. Assisting is the important one here because this means it's always good to steal goals from your teammates because it just ensures that you're getting more XP spread over total. Well, how do we play for XP? Well, this leads us into our second tip of don't waste spells. Unlike other MOBA style games, Omega Strikers has no form of auto attacking, so spells really is all we have. We want to make sure we are getting the most out of our spells to ensure they are being used in ways that will lead to either getting XP or scoring. Now, let's take a look at a few clips. Alright, so starting off with this first clip, we're just going to kind of watch how I play this game, and I'm just going to pause it real quick and remember the things that I'm wanting to keep track of is I want to play for XP, and I want to make sure that I'm using my spells with intent. Like I'm trying to gain something out of using my spells that will lead to an advantage. So right here, I'm just kind of playing in the middle, trying to maybe look to keep core control hitting, and then maybe looking for opportunities to punish towards the sides. So right here, I see this Kai that is running up. So I think, you know, maybe I can get a kill on him and punish him. I end up missing. And our X luckily gets saved by Atlasar, and we end up getting a kill. So now we have full pressure, but I'm not really looking to score. The Kai's only down for a total of 8 seconds. And we're only level 1 and Dubu still has everything up, so I want to use this opportunity now that we have the advantage to get the orb control, to get the free XP. So we end up getting the free orb, and now notice I'm kind of edging forwards, but I'm not like overly committing. I'm not using like my dash and stuff like that, because if I were to dash in here and like try and score and mess up, the Kai's going to be respawning here in a second, and then they could look to like answer or kill me here. So I'm just trying to keep pressure up, keep the orb or keep core control up, and so we can play for these midfield orbs. So now we're back even, and now it's back to just kind of looking to try and get an advantage. So I'm just playing slow. Keeping the core up. Now, big thing here, with this orb coming up, I want it, but I do have to respect the fact that Juliet's going to be wanting to kill me too. So I'm trying to maybe bait them into dashing here where I can then follow up and get the kill, or getting the orb and then maybe using my abilities to protect myself so I don't get knocked out. Right here, we end up getting it, and then Kai made the mistake of committing too hard with no utilities to save him. And now we're back on the power play again, just keeping pressure up, looking for an opportunity. And now I think I get a little bit lucky here with the goal, but I played it slow, looked for the opportunity, got the goal, and now is the big thing that we're going to note as... Look at the level difference now. We've only been going for about a minute, but I'm level 5 and both their forwards are level 2. I now dictate the entire pace of the game and can do pretty much anything that I want. All right, and now for our third tip, we're going to be talking about striking the core and just kind of the core or hitting the core in general and some tips for it because it's really the big thing that Omega Strikers brings in that's new compared from other games. And you probably already have the idea down for the most part in terms of like the basic idea of you want to be striking the core last. And the reason why that is because if you're striking the core last, it's going past your opponent and into the goal. So, things you can do to kind of help you do this is you can kind of field or you can like move into the direction of where the core is heading, and that allows you to buy a little bit of extra time to either use your abilities or to get your strike off or for it to come back off of cooldown. And we're going to note what Megaverse does right here is how he answers to this scoring opportunity. So I'm going to W in front and notice how he walks backwards to give himself a little bit of extra time, because that way, even if his reaction isn't perfect, he's buying the extra time by walking with it for his strike to go off, and then he perfectly clears it out and makes the save. Where if he was just standing still, maybe he doesn't react fast enough and then it just goes past him. He's not giving up on the play, so to speak. And one really important thing to know about this too is this is 10 times easier to do on WASD controls, and I think WASD offers a distinct advantage because of this. It gives you the ability to move and aim perfectly at the same time, where MOBA you have to click and then flick your mouse, and I think specifically for goalies it's a necessity, but I think overall I would highly recommend swapping. And this is coming from someone who does use MOBA, and I will probably be swapping eventually myself. So now for our fourth tip, it's going to be not just chasing around the core the entire time and kind of learning to play zones and where and when to play. Now this is something extremely situational, so I'm going to kind of just explain the general theme of it and just allow you to, or just open up the idea to you, and you can kind of start thinking about it on your own. I'm just going to kind of let you know how I decide with these things. So right here we have a play we can see where they are on the breakaway and I'm all the way back here on the other side of the court. Now a lot of times newer players will just see that the core is being pressured on their side, and they'll run all the way over, and by the time they get there the core has either been cleared or scored, and then they'll be running all the way back, and that's a lot of time wasted. So one thing you can check on is what are the chances, like can this core be cleared? And if so, I'm going to make the decision that I'm just going to sit up here at midfield and try to play for the clear. Now, one thing with center stage specifically is it's a lot easier to clear to the other way because it makes it much harder for the opponents, if they have control of one side of the map, to be able to just come over around the middle. So what I would do here is I see the way this is cleared, and I'm going to be trying to hope that my teammates are able to clear the ball down here where they have no control, and maybe I'm able to get a breakaway, and I'm not going to just be chasing this core. I'm just going to trust my teammates that maybe they can make the save and try and get the breakaway off this, and the goalie's a little bit low, so maybe I would be able to find a kill. Now in this specific moment, they end up scoring here, but that's okay. That's going to happen. It's a much more better plan to trust your team and plan that they're going to clear it and play for this. That would give us a really good scoring opportunity rather than worrying about the defense. All right, now we're going to be taking a look at this situation, and this is kind of one of those times of when do you not want to just sit and kind of play for like a cherry pick or play for a clear. And so one thing specific to note is we're just on the base map, so if a ball gets cleared, they do have a bit more pressure in terms of being able to rebound it back and keep the pressure up. And so specifically because of this, I want to make sure that if they end up making the save here, I'm pressuring the Estelle so she's not able to come up. So I'm playing somewhere in front of the Estelle, so she either has to use abilities or give up control if a rebound happens. Because if I'm sitting here, you know, messing with the goalie, waiting for a clear, the Estelle's just going to be able to cut in front and then keep the pressure up, and the core's never going to get cleared. So you need to be thinking of, can the core be cleared, and if it can be cleared, is there someone there to rebound it? Now, if the Estelle was instead over here, then that would be a situation where I could be farther up and playing for the clear, because I know that if they make the save, nobody's going to be there to stop it. So that's just kind of something to consider about, of like how you're playing and if it's worth it to come back and help your team. So I'm trusting that they're going to be making the saves, so I'm not going to be running over to help them with this core, but I'm going to be playing midfield to play defense so Estelle can't freely just strike the ball forwards and then maybe look for like a blink strike into the goal. All right, now coming with our fifth and final tip, and that is going to be talking about how do you convert once you get these opportunities, once you get these power plays, and more specifically, how to use passing to make it very easy to convert. Now, passing is something that is an extremely rewarding thing to do and is a very powerful option that you have, but at the moment, even players at very high ranks don't often make the most effectiveness out of it. And so this first example is kind of going to be an example of what not to do. So here you can see we're in overtime, we're up 5-4, and both the enemy forwards are knocked out. So we have the core here, and I can see that our Kai is going to clear it down, and we're going to have a 1-on-2 scoring situation, and our Kai is going to be able to come up and rebound it very fast, even if the Dubu manages to clear at least like once. So because I recognize this, I don't want to just group up with my teammate and try and force it through a Dubu. So I'm going to just go low and let my teammate stay up here high and try and split the goal on the Dubu to make him to make a choice. Does he try and predict the pass or does he play? And that gives my teammate the option to react off of it. So letting this roll on, you can see the core's coming. Now right here, the Dubu is clearly committing. The Drek has the option to step up, pass the core down, and then we have an open net right here that would be a very difficult save for the Dubu. Unfortunately, the Drakkar made the decision to try and just like win the strike war and just stuff it past the Dubu, and so he ends up clearing it away, but that's okay. Because like I said, we have our Kai, it's a 1-on-3 situation, we get the rebound, we come back. Now, the Drakkar's down low again, and same thing, he's high, I'm low, so I don't want to just force it through the Dubu, so I'm going to pass it down, and I'm going to make sure I leave myself up here at an angle for him so he can pass it back if he feels like the Dubu is committing. So he tries to stuff it through again, but the Dubu has a stun, and then he clears it up, and the Dubu ends up stalling long enough, and due to poor passing, we weren't able to convert the 1-on-3, and we actually end up losing this game. Alright, and now we're going to look at a bit more of an example of what passing looks like when you do it effectively. Here you can see we're a Drek and Estelle, so not the most scoring pressure, especially early on, and we're right at the beginning of the game. However, starting off, we end up getting some good poke, we get core pressure, and now we have both their forwards behind us, and we're in a 1-on-2 situation. However, we just used all of our spells, and Dubu has everything up, so there's no way we could possibly try to force it through a Dubu. So I'm going to try and get the core and pass it down to Vaughn, and Vaughn is going to correctly make the read off the Dubu, and we're going to end up getting a really free goal from this. So now I pass down, and we have to realize that Dubu has to answer to this. He can't just let the core be a wide open shot. So Vaughn makes the assumption that the Dubu is going to dive to try and stop the core. He doesn't want to just give up the free goal. And I realize that this is an option, so I'm going to walk forward and set myself up here to either get the rebound if the Dubu makes the save and uh, if Vaughn decides to shoot it and the Dubu makes the save, I can maybe rebound it, or I will give him the option to pass it back up, and I'm staying in the passing lane. And what ends up happening is he passes it up. Dubu makes the play, thinking that he's going to just shoot for the wide open goal. And with having no abilities up and a very low scoring pressure, just due to passing alone, we get a very free goal right off the start. And this is just a small concept. It changes. It's very dynamic. There's so many different situations for games, but I just kind of want to again introduce the idea and get you thinking, and you can start looking for this stuff in your game and or your games and thinking like, oh, did I have the opportunities there? Was my zone control good? Could I have been in passing lanes and working on that sort of stuff? All right, guys, that's going to be it for the day, and hopefully you found some use out of it. And this was a bit less of a 5 like quick tips kind of video and more of a what do I think are the biggest fundamentals that you need to be getting down if you want to become a very good Omega Strikers player. And I touch these all in a very brief and simple level, and it's something I'd like to go over in more detail in the future and just break down each topic at a time, but I wanted to keep this video pretty short, and I just kind of wanted to introduce the ideas to you so you kind of know what direction you should be leaning in, and you kind of get some thought process to what I'm thinking in every single game I play and how I approach my games. So hopefully you guys found some use out of it. If you did, please leave a like, please subscribe as well. It'll allow you to see more content. I plan on making videos pretty regularly. Hopefully they get about 1 or 2 a week out, and my next one is going to be a Juliet guide. She's my most played character, my best by far, and I just kind of wanted to first get out a just overall general guide of the flow for the game and how I kind of process through it. And that's all I got for you guys though. Thank you for watching, and until next time, see ya.